I mean, just tell me what's wrong with 4-2. I get the distinct sense that there's a lot of problems that people have with this football team. But 4-2 is 4-2. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning from Las Vegas. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Steelers 32, Raiders 13. And I don't care all that much about the whys and the wherefores along the way. I had said entering this weekend that the Steelers absolutely unequivocally needed to take care of business. Couldn't conceivably come out of this 3-3 and expect to be taken seriously by anyone, possibly even by themselves. Okay, so what do I do now? They won, and they won handily. And they won in pretty much the same manner that they've won a lot of their games. And that's when I think it's fair to start looking back at all 6 of these games to date and try to begin cobbling together what this team's identity is. If their identity is that the offense is more effective when it runs the ball than when it passes, okay, that's not exactly a stunner. That was known all summer long. If this team's identity is that it's going to prioritize field position, that just makes it a Mike Tomlin team. That's always been his main thing when it comes to game management. I don't think he's great at it by any stretch, but I think it's a fair priority to have, even though there are times in really specific scenarios where you go, yuck, no, don't do that. Don't be so safe about everything. He just says, I'm gonna play for field position. So he does that. Also, not a stunner. And if the third one, and I really think this is becoming the thing, is that the team is going to live or die off defensive splash, then, I mean, there are worse ways to live or die in the NFL, because it means even if you're having the conversation that you've got a defensive group that's capable of that, that's hungry for that, and most importantly, that gets that sort of thing done. Now, in this one, TJ Watt forces 2 fumbles. The Steelers recover both of those. Dante Jackson, who's got to be the team's offseason acquisition of the year, comes up with an interception late. So you have 3 takeaways, no giveaways. And the Steelers as a whole are at +7. The takeaway giveaway differential. That's tied for second best in the NFL. They've got 11 takeaways now. They've got only 4 giveaways. Kind of brings me back to the field position thing, but it's also a separate track, really, because you got to take some risks. Patrick Queen told me after this game, and boy, did he play well, by the way, that it's a really high risk, and he emphasized the risk part, high reward type of defense. He said, we really put ourselves in some chancy situations with some of the stuff that we do. Believe me, he didn't say that in a bad way. He said that in a way that he's really enjoying it and he's growing into it. And all of these guys will tell you that they don't see the takeaways and the interceptions and the forced fumbles and the fumble recoveries and everything else as being happenstance. Listen to, actually, I'm going to play a couple of bits of sound here for you. One is from Keanu Benton, and pay attention to how I correct myself after asking the first question. This defense coming together, does it feel like that?
I think so. It just comes with communicating it, taking them game by game.
You know, when you look at how opportunistic you guys were, actually, I shouldn't even use that word because it was, you made those things.
I was about to say, I think we created those opportunities to go out there and execute, and I think we did a great job of doing so today. We just got to keep it going to next week.
No, because it's not luck. So I go over and I ask Isaiah Loudermilk a similar set of questions.
Yeah, I think today definitely felt like it. Things were clicking. Of course, there's things to clean up on, but I mean, pretty solid night.
It's funny. I accidentally called you guys opportunistic and asking Keanu questions just now, and I took it back and I said it's not opportunistic if you're making them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. If you're making them, I mean, they're there.
Punch it out.
Yeah. No, that's things people practice throughout the week. So it's not a lightning strike. It's the things that we go in and work every single day.
Yeah, they're just working toward this. This is part of the plan. It's an identity. And like all identities in professional sports, when you're talking about some sort of collective consciousness, it doesn't matter if you aren't good at it. Now, look, I'm not being Pollyanna here. I saw the whole game, okay? And I saw how many people the Raiders were missing, and I know how bad the Raiders are, even if they have all of those people. But I'm always trying to look for trends, something that could build toward something positive, toward competing, toward contention in the longer run, because that's the objective of the process. I did not like the offense in this game. I did not like Justin Fields' performance in this game. I did not like several things from this game. But when you're talking about the foundational stuff, the stuff that's at the underpinning of everything that the Steelers hope to achieve, that didn't exactly go backward. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Jeremy. He's not the only one to bring this up. He says, hey, DK, I still think Justin Fields isn't doing much of anything in the passing game. He's not accurate. He's not seeing his open receivers. He's just not moving the ball with his arm. Yes, he can run, but really that's all he has. And don't say that he needs more time either. He's had camp, preseason, now 6 games. He's hit his ceiling. Let's see what Russell Wilson can do. And to this, what say you? The first thing I say, Jeremy, is that you don't exactly make a strong case by, I don't know if you're pretending or deluding yourself into saying that Fields hasn't made any good passes. He's been pretty effective at times. He's been robustly effective at certain times when it comes to passing the football. That wasn't the case yesterday, but that doesn't mean you can just take that and multiply it by 6 and come up with an argument. This isn't a great or even good passing offense by any means, by any potential form of evaluation that you might have. And that applied even when Fields was deadly with his accuracy. We've been over all the reasons for that countless times, a lot of it having to do with the offensive line, which now, by the way, also has to deal with the Zach Frazier injury to his ankle. I'm not sure about the severity of that. I did see him in the locker room with a boot on his left foot. But the part, I guess the part of what you're putting forth there that, to be honest with you, turns me off more than anything, even more than the assessment of how he's, never been accurate or whatever, is this idea that passing yards or passing touchdowns are somehow more valuable. Trust me, the game's changed a lot, but they're still the same thing. It's still a yard for a yard, a touchdown for a touchdown. And if anything, I would think that it only burnishes the Fields brand that he's capable of doing both, one or the other, depending on what the opponent decides it would prefer to try to stop. That is not a shortcoming. Having a quarterback who can escape some of the rushes that the Raiders brought. And remember, that's the one thing they still have. They still have Max Crosby and other guys who can get to the backfield. Having Fields run out of there, sometimes by design, sometimes very much not by design. This is not a strike against your quarterback. And what I want to say here, and I'm not saying this to offend you or anything, but I get the sense from a lot of fans that they just want their quarterback to be Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. They just want Tom Brady. And until they have that quarterback, the team, the offense, is going to be seen as deficient in the post-Ben Roethlisberger era. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's the case. But I also know this. Opponents hate preparing for quarterbacks like this. Opposing coaches hate it, hate it, hate it. Why? Because football comes with a playbook. Football comes with this X goes here and that O goes there. And coaches don't like when they can't account for what someone might try against them. There were a couple of times in this game here yesterday where the Raiders just did everything right defensively. They beat so-and-so at this point of attack, got around this guy, had exactly the situation they wanted, had everybody covered. It didn't matter because Fields just said, okay, look at all that grass. And then he would just take it. Neither you nor I nor anybody else gets to say that that's less valuable because of some, preconceived or built over time concept of what a franchise quarterback should look like. I would think and hope that a fan base that follows a franchise that's in the same division as the Ravens would appreciate more than most that you don't have to do it all one way. Lamar Jackson remains not the world's greatest passer, whereas Jackson remains very much a winning quarterback, in parentheses, against all teams except the Steelers, end parentheses. Everyone's free to view Fields' performance yesterday as they prefer. My view was I was counting up the number of times somebody else would have gotten sacked. And it was a lot more than the 3 that Fields was actually sacked. I appreciate the question. I appreciate various versions of that question that came from a lot of different people. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. I'm flying home today, and it's a pretty long travel day, which means there will not be a double shot show today, but there will be one tomorrow. That's Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, as well as another one of these things tomorrow morning.